Hey, how's everybody doing today? Hope you guys are having a great week. I wanted to share with you just a couple of verses from Psalm 56. I know it's no news to you that we are in very uncertain times. Some of the things that are going on, with the pandemic, with our government, with all kinds of different things are things that we've never faced before. And I want to read to you something that the psalmist wrote in Psalm 56. And this is one of a psalm of David. And he wrote this during a time when the Philistines had seized him in Gath. And so he was a prisoner of the Philistines at the moment. And he writes, "Oh God, have mercy on me, for people are hounding me, my foes attack me all day long. I'm constantly hounded by those who slander me, and many are boldly attacking me." One of the things that David would, there's a conflict there because David knows that he's been anointed to be king of Israel, but he also knows that his current circumstances aren't really matching up to what, he's been promised. And so the next verse to me is just one of the most really important ones. He says, or the next two, "But when I am afraid, I will put my trust in you. I praise God for what he has promised. I trust in God, so why should I be afraid? What can mere mortals do to me?" And the thing that really struck me about that, obviously there's a part about, hey, when I'm afraid, I trust in God. We all know we're supposed to do that. We all know that we're supposed to trust God even in difficult times. It's hard not to be affected by the uncertainty of situations. That's really difficult. But here's the thing that David did that I think was different. And that is, he said, "I praise God for what he has promised." In other words, he was giving thanks to God, giving praise to God, not for what he'd already done, but for what he had promised to do, as though it were already done. And I think that's one of the best recipes to get through times of uncertainty. All right, well, I'm going to trust God that he's going to do. But we take the promises of God, what God's promised us, and then we go ahead and thank him for fulfilling those promises even when they haven't happened yet. And that's one of the best ways to get through uncertainty is, what? God's promised he's going to provide for me, he's going to watch over me, he's going to heal me, he's going to do all these things. And so I'm going to trust what God's already said. So even though the days are uncertain, and I'm not, hey, if there was ever a time where I might say, well, this is going to happen next and then that, I have no clue what's happening. I'm not a prophet. I don't know what's going to happen next week, next month, anything. But one of the things that I do know is that God has made all these promises to us. That he will never leave us. He will never forsake us. That we're going to experience victory. That we're going to, he is going to trample sin. He's going to defeat death. All those things are going to happen. And so we praise God for what he has promised us, even though it has not been fulfilled in our sight yet, that when God promises something, it's as good as done. And that's what David was doing, even though he probably felt like maybe this time more than any other time, he might have felt like he was farther away from what God had promised him than any other time in his life. But he chose to praise God for what he had promised. And so I think that's when we begin to see God's promises as permanent, as irreversible, and as inevitable, we tend to think, well, this is going to be inevitable, all these bad things, instead of seeing that God's promises are really the only inevitable thing for the future. That's the truth. And so the more that we can praise God for what he's promised us, even when we haven't seen it yet, the more I think it'll give us confidence that no matter what happens in the uncertainties of the days that we live in, that we're going to be okay. And whether that means, that I'm in heaven with Jesus, or whether that means I experience victory here, or whether it means that I'm going to march back with Jesus when he comes back to the earth, whatever that means, I'm going to experience victory. And so we praise God for those promises, even when they haven't 100% been fulfilled today. So that's Psalm 56, first 4 verses. I'd encourage you to read through that, and hope that you'll join us this Sunday. We will have in-person services at 9:45 and 11, or you can join us online. So whichever way works best for you and your family, hope that we'll see you see you Sunday. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.